Hey everyone, welcome back to Easy English Learning, the podcast where we talk about real life in real English so you can learn naturally, feel confident, and actually enjoy the process. I'm Lily.
And I'm James. Super happy to be here with all of you today.
Okay, James, before we get into today's topic, I want to ask you something, and I want a completely honest answer.
Uh-oh, when you say completely honest, I already feel nervous.
Good. So here is the situation. It is the end of the month. Your salary just arrived. You open your banking app, you see the number. What happens next in your brain?
Honestly, a very short moment of feeling rich. Like for about 30 seconds, I feel like I could buy anything.
Yes, that 30-second window, I know exactly what you mean.
And then reality arrives.
Reality always arrives. Okay, everyone listening, we have a little question for you too. When your salary arrives, which one of these sounds most like you? Option 1, you immediately transfer a fixed amount to your savings account. Option 2, you open a shopping app within the first 10 minutes. Option 3, you start looking at flight prices even though you have no specific trip planned. Or option 4, you tell yourself, this month will be different. Make a budget, and then by day 3, you are ordering your favorite takeout.
Option 4 is so painfully accurate that it almost feels personal.
It is personal for a lot of us, and that is actually why today's topic is so interesting, because it is not just about money, it's about something deeper.
Right. Today, we are asking one of the most common and honestly one of the most complicated questions in adult life.
Should you save money for the future, or should you enjoy your life right now?
And before anyone thinks this is just a finance class, it's not. This question touches your values, your fears, your personality, and your relationship with time itself.
Exactly. It sounds simple on the surface, save or spend. But the moment you actually sit with it, it becomes much bigger. It becomes about who you are and what you believe life is for.
Which makes it perfect for a deep English conversation.
It really does. And for everyone listening, this is a B2 level episode. The conversation will be natural and flowing, but we will also slow down and explain key vocabulary as we go. So if you are a strong B1 listener, absolutely stay with us. You will catch a lot, and you will level up.
We also have a word tour later in the episode where we go through all the key phrases slowly, so do not stress if something moves a little fast the first time. Just stay in the flow.
And here's our comment question for today. We want you to write 2 things. First, are you more of a saver, a spender, or somewhere in the middle? Second, what is one thing you always feel good about spending money on, no matter the cost?
For example, you could write spender but no regrets on concert tickets, or saver but I always splurge on good food, or just working on it. That's also a completely valid answer.
Very valid. Okay, let's get into it. So, James, let us start at the beginning. Why does money feel so emotional? Like, it's just numbers, right? Why does it trigger so many feelings?
Because it's never just numbers, that's the thing. Money represents different things to different people. For some people, it means security. For others, it means freedom. For some, it means status or comfort or the ability to help their family.
So when money arrives, all of those meanings arrive with it.
Exactly. And your brain doesn't separate them. So on payday, you're not just receiving currency, you're receiving a complicated package of emotions all at once.
That is such a good way to describe it. And I think this is why so many people make decisions on payday that they wouldn't make on a Tuesday afternoon in the middle of the month.
Right. Payday is emotionally loaded, and when emotions are running high, our decision-making changes.
Yes, there's actually a name for when you buy something suddenly because of a strong feeling in the moment.
An impulse purchase.
Right, an impulse purchase is when you buy something without planning it, simply because the feeling in that moment is too strong to ignore. No research, no thinking, no list, just, I want this, and I have money right now.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be something big. Sometimes it's a small thing. A new phone case, a candle, a book you'll probably never read.
The book you'll never read is so real. I have 3 of those sitting on my shelf right now.
I have a whole section dedicated to them.
But impulse purchases feel so good in the moment, right? That's the problem.
That's exactly the problem. They give you a very quick feeling of happiness or relief, but it fades, and then you're left with the thing you bought and sometimes a little regret.
And that's when people try to justify the expense, which is also very human behavior.
Yes, To justify an expense means to find the logical reason for something you already bought emotionally. Like, I didn't buy this expensive standing desk because I liked it, I bought it for my health and my posture.
Or I didn't buy this jacket because it looked amazing. I bought it because it was technically on sale and I was being responsible.
Yes, the math somehow always works out in your favor when you really want something.
It really does. So we have this emotional pull towards spending, but what about the pull towards saving? Because that side also has a voice.
Okay, so let me be honest here. I used to think saving money was a boring topic, like something your grandparents talk about, but I changed my mind completely after one specific experience.
Tell us.
So a couple of years ago, I had what I can only describe as a very inconvenient 3 weeks. First, my laptop broke. Then I had a medical appointment that cost more than I expected. And then right after that, I had to help with a family situation that needed money immediately.
All at once.
All at once. And the reason I'm telling this story is not to be dramatic. It's because in that moment, I understood something that I had heard many times, but never really felt. Having money saved is not about being rich. It's about having breathing room.
That's a beautiful phrase. Breathing room.
And there's actually a specific term for this, a financial cushion.
Right. A financial cushion is money you set aside specifically for unexpected situations. Not for a goal, not for a holiday, just a safety layer so that when life surprises you, and it will, you have options instead of panic.
And what I notice is that the cushion protects more than your bank account. It protects your mental state. When something goes wrong and you have savings, you can think clearly. You can make good decisions. When you have nothing saved, every problem feels enormous.
That's such an important point. There's actually a common English expression about this: save for a rainy day.
Yes, save for a rainy day means to put money aside now so that you're ready for difficult times later, because difficult times don't announce themselves, they just arrive.
And I also want to say something about another phrase that sometimes gets a bad reputation: live within your means.
Ah, yes. This one sounds like a lecture, right? Like something strict and serious.
It does, but what it actually means is just this: your lifestyle matches your real income, not the income you wish you had, not the lifestyle you see on social media, the life that is actually yours.
And social media makes this so much harder now because you're constantly seeing people on holidays and nice restaurants with new things, and it creates this quiet pressure to keep up.
And then people feel behind, like they're missing out on life because they're not spending like someone else.
When in reality, that person on social media might be in significant financial stress. You never see the full picture.
Exactly. So living within your means is not about being boring or limited. It's actually a form of self-respect. It means you understand your reality and you make choices that support your actual life. Okay, so we've made a pretty strong case for saving, but I want to push back a little, because I think there's also a real problem on the other extreme.
Oh, definitely. And this is the part that people don't always talk about.
Some people save and never actually use the money. They're always waiting for the right time, the right trip, the right moment, and that moment keeps getting delayed.
Yes, there's a version of saving that becomes about fear, not wisdom, where spending anything feels dangerous, and the number in your account becomes the thing that makes you feel safe rather than the life you're building.
And that's not really healthy either, because time is also a resource, and experiences have value that money can't always replace.
I think about this a lot, actually. I almost didn't go to visit a friend in another city last year because I wanted to be careful with my money that month. And then I went anyway, kind of on impulse, actually. And it turned out to be one of the best weekends I've had in years. We laughed so much. We explored a neighborhood I had never seen. I still think about it.
And that's the thing. Some experiences don't wait. People get busy. Life changes. A trip you keep postponing might just not happen.
Exactly. So sometimes spending money is not irresponsibility, it's choosing life.
And here's where we talk about the difference between different types of spending. Not all spending is the same.
Right. There's spending that adds nothing, random purchases you forget about in 2 days. And there's spending that genuinely adds value to your life.
And one useful term here is discretionary spending. This means money you spend on non-essential things beyond rent, food, and bills, things like entertainment, travel, dining out, hobbies, personal treats.
So not the basics, but the choices that make life feel like a life and not just a schedule.
Exactly. And discretionary spending is not bad. The question is whether it's intentional or just automatic.
Right. There's a big difference between choosing to splurge on something meaningful and just spending money because you're bored or tired.
Yes, to splurge on something means to spend more than you normally would on something that really matters to you, like a special birthday dinner, a flight to see your family, a course that will help your career.
And when you splurge on things that are genuinely aligned with what you value, you almost never regret it.
But when you splurge just to fill an emotional gap, that's where the regret usually lives.
Okay, so here's a pattern I think a lot of people will recognize. You go through a period of feeling like you're spending too much, so you decide to be very strict. No extras, no treats, no unnecessary anything.
The full reset.
Yes, and it works for maybe a week or two, but it is tight and uncomfortable, and then one day, usually when you are tired or stressed, you just snap, and you spend a lot in a short amount of time.
And then the guilt hits and the cycle starts again.
Exactly. Too strict, then too loose. Too strict, then too loose. It never reaches a stable middle.
And the reason this happens is interesting because the strict phase does not actually deal with the root issue. It just creates pressure, and pressure builds until it releases.
So the goal is not to find perfect discipline. The goal is to find a rhythm that is sustainable, something you can actually live inside.
And I think a useful tool here, and this works for any big decision, not just money, is to pause before acting. Even a very short pause can change the outcome.
Yes, when you feel a strong pull to buy something unplanned, just wait, even 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what is actually driving this? Is it genuine need? Is this something I have been thinking about for a while, or is it just the emotion of this specific moment?
And another great habit is to weigh the pros and cons. This simply means thinking through both sides before deciding. What is the upside? What is the downside? What do I gain? What do I give up?
And this connects to something called opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost means what you lose when you choose one thing instead of another. If you spend a large amount on something impulsive this month, the opportunity cost might be that you cannot afford the gym membership you wanted or the weekend trip you were planning. Every yes to one thing is a quiet no to something else.
And when you think about it that way, you're not punishing yourself for wanting things. You're just being honest about the trade-offs.
Exactly. It's not about guilt, it's about awareness. Before we wrap up the main conversation, I want to bring in something important because this whole discussion about saving versus spending, it looks very different depending on your situation.
Yes, and this is something we should always remember.
For some people, this conversation is about choosing between a holiday and adding to investments. For other people, it's a much harder reality. They're simply trying to make ends meet.
Right. To make ends meet means to have just barely enough to cover your basic living costs, rent, food, transport, with very little left over.
And when you're in that situation, the advice to just save more can feel disconnected from real life because you're not choosing between a coffee machine and a savings account. You're choosing between different things that you actually need.
And in that context, enjoy life now might look like buying a small tree after a very hard week, because sometimes that one small thing is what keeps you going.
And saving might look like putting aside a very small amount and feeling genuinely proud of that, because it's still progress. Even small steps matter.
So this topic should never become a way to judge people. Financial situations are complicated. What looks like irresponsibility from the outside might be a completely reasonable choice from the inside.
This conversation is about awareness, not about scoring points.
So after all of this, the emotional pulls, the patterns, the reality check, what does balance actually look like?
I think it looks different for every person, but there are a few principles that help.
1. Decide what your money is for. Not in a vague way, in a specific way. What am I building toward? What do I genuinely value? When you know that, it becomes easier to say no to the things that don't serve those values.
2. Separate your needs from your emotions. Needs stay fairly constant. Emotions change every few hours. If you let emotions drive every financial decision, you'll always be reacting instead of choosing.
3. Give yourself permission to enjoy. A life of pure saving with no joy is not the goal. Spending on things that genuinely matter to you is part of a healthy financial life.
And 4, think in patterns, not just individual purchases. One coffee isn't the issue, but 5 coffees plus daily delivery plus impulse shopping adds up quietly. The pattern is what deserves your attention.
So maybe the real answer to save money or enjoy life now is both, but intentionally, with awareness, with honesty about what you're trading and why.
Protecting your future without completely abandoning your present. That's the kind of balance that actually works.
And it's not a destination you arrive at once. It's something you keep adjusting, keep learning, keep getting better at.
Which is kind of like learning English, actually.
I love that. Yes, exactly.
Okay, now it's time for our word tour. This is where we slow down and go through the key vocabulary from today's episode so you can actually use these phrases in your own conversations. Grab something to drink, get comfortable, and let's go through these one by one. First phrase, impulse purchase.
An impulse purchase is when you buy something suddenly without planning it, just because the feeling in that moment is so strong.
For example, she made an impulse purchase at the airport and bought 3 things she didn't need.
Or, I'm trying to avoid impulse purchases when I shop online late at night.
Repeat, impulse purchase. Impulse purchase. One more time slowly. Impulse purchase.
Next, justify an expense. To justify an expense means to find a reason to explain why a purchase was a good idea, often after you have already spent the money.
For example, he tried to justify the expense by saying the new headphones were for his work calls. Or, I don't always need to justify every expense, but I want to be honest about my habits.
Repeat, justify an expense. Justify an expense. Slowly, justify an expense.
Next phrase, financial cushion.
A financial cushion is a reserve of money you keep separate from your regular spending, specifically for emergencies or unexpected situations.
For example, because she had a financial cushion, she stayed calm when she lost her job. Or, even a small financial cushion can change how you feel about money.
Repeat, financial cushion. Financial cushion. Slowly, financial cushion.
Next phrase, save for a rainy day.
To save for a rainy day means to put money aside now so you're prepared for difficult times in the future.
For example, my grandmother always told me to save for a rainy day, and I finally understand why.
Or, I try to save for a rainy day every month, even if it's only a small amount.
Repeat, save for a rainy day. Save for a rainy day. Slowly, save for a rainy day. Next phrase, live within your means.
To live within your means means that your lifestyle matches your actual income. You're not spending more than you earn.
For example, after getting into debt, he finally decided to live within his means. Or, living within your means is not about restriction, it's about honesty.
Repeat, live within your means. Live within your means. Slowly, live within your means.
Next phrase, discretionary spending.
Discretionary spending is money you spend on non-essential things you choose to buy beyond your basic needs like rent, food, and bills.
For example, most of my discretionary spending goes towards books and weekend activities. Or, when she needed to save more, she looked at her discretionary spending first.
Repeat, discretionary spending. Discretionary spending. Slowly, discretionary spending.
Next phrase, splurge on.
To splurge on something means to spend more than you normally would on something you really want as a special treat.
For example, they decided to splurge on a beautiful hotel for their anniversary. Or, I don't splurge on much, but I never regret splurging on travel.
Repeat, splurge on. Splurge on. Slowly, splurge on.
Next phrase, weigh the pros and cons.
To weigh the pros and cons means to think carefully about both the positive and negative sides of a decision before making it.
For example, before accepting the new job, she took time to weigh the pros and cons. Or, I always try to weigh the pros and cons before making a big purchase.
Repeat, weigh the pros and cons. Weigh the pros and cons. Slowly, weigh the pros and cons.
Next, opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means what you give up or miss when you choose one thing instead of another. Every choice has a hidden cost.
For example, The opportunity cost of spending all his savings on a car was that he couldn't take the course he wanted. Or she started thinking about opportunity cost and made much better financial decisions.
Repeat. Opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. Slowly. Opportunity cost.
And our final phrase for today, make ends meet. To make ends meet means to have just enough money to pay for your essential living expenses, with very little or nothing left over.
For example, with 2 jobs, he was finally able to make ends meet. Or, when I first moved to the city, it was hard to make ends meet on my salary.
Repeat, make ends meet. Make ends meet. Slowly, make ends meet.
And that was our word tour for today. 10 phrases that you can use when talking about money, choices, habits, and life priorities. Really natural, really useful English.
And the best way to make them stick? Use them. Try writing one sentence with each phrase in the comments today.
Yes, even one sentence counts. And we always read your comments, so write something down there and share your thoughts on today's topic too.
And if this episode was helpful, please like it, subscribe to Easy English Learning, and share it with one person who you think would enjoy it. It genuinely helps the channel grow and helps more learners find us.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We hope your money decisions and your English keep getting better and better.
Take good care of yourselves.
This is Lily.
And this is James.
And you have been listening to Easy English Learning. See you in the next one.